Last slide, beyond phonics. Again, the main goal is comprehension of the spoken and written word. Phonics is worthless if they don't understand. How can we help our children in the long run, or in the bigger picture? Books, books and more books. The difference between those who read and those who don't in terms of their levels of English is staggering. Creating lifelong readers is the main goal. So my biggest thing would be is to make reading and books a habit in the home. If you can get them interested in reading, even just some things, say they're interested in sport or dinosaurs or whatever it is, if you can get them in anyway and have them reading a little bit, reading for enjoyment, or even just listening to stories or being read to, the difference in their levels of being able to read and their levels of understanding spoken English and the written word is huge. Use videos on YouTube, or one we learned, Storyline Online is on YouTube, and it's readers reading stories to the children. It will help their comprehension, their language, fantastic. So even if you don't have time yourself, Dora the Explorer is great. YouTube, stories on YouTube. I myself will be trying to read some of the books we have in class, post a video on the Facebook page, and the children can watch me as I go under the words and read it to them if parents don't have time, or if just as an extra help for parents. Older children in the home, if they can read to them, that would be a great help. And lots of talk. In the early years in primary school, oral language is hugely important, because it develops comprehension, understanding, communication skills. Writing is fantastic, but the most important language skill we use is spoken language. We use it all the time. In the last meeting, Susan asked me to tell you that her word boxes are tricky words. So all the words Susan sends home at the moment are tricky words in Irish, and they can't be sounded out. Basically, a tricky word can't be sounded out. The same principles apply to the Irish phonics as they do to the English phonics. It's just a tool to help them decode words. Understanding will be a little bit more difficult in Irish, same as someone who has English as a second language learning English phonics. They'll be able to sound it out, but they may not know what the word means, or they may not know what the picture is, etc. And one big one that I used with my class last year in fourth, and these are skills that we try to develop as they progress through the years. Good readers, things that good readers do. They predict what the book is going to be about. They predict what's going to happen in the next chapter. They predict what's going to happen at the end of the page. They predict even what the word will be coming up next. For example, the cat jumped over and the child will know, okay, and now something is coming up here. It's not going to be the child or the cat jumped over the walking. It won't be a verb. They know it's going to be a noun. It's going to be a thing. So they might predict the cat jumped over the wall, or the cat jumped over the fence. So they're always predicting. This means they don't always have to read. They don't always have to decode the words. It helps them if they're good at predicting. Similarly, Sean was sitting on the wall. It was a very slippy wall. And then they might predict, well, maybe he's going to fall. And then the words in the next sentence are that little bit easier. Good readers also visualize. So as they read, or as someone is reading to them, they try to visualize in their head what the story, what's going to happen in the story, what they're seeing. So descriptive language. The beautiful meadow was covered in flowers. They begin to see the flowers, or they begin to even smell and use their senses to try and see what the story is like, see the characters, that kind of thing. Good readers ask questions. So they come to the end of the page, or they hear the story, and then they might ask questions, and this is good. I ask the children to come up with questions about the story, or ask the character a question. And when they ask the questions, they automatically start thinking about the answers, and it makes things like predicting and visualizing that bit easier. And they're starting to really get into what's written. And they summarize. So when they hear a story, they might recap and say, well, first this happened, then this happened, and then this happened. So Little Red Riding Hood, they might know that her mom asked her to be safe. She went into the woods. She met the wolf. The wolf tried to trick her in Grandma's house, and the woodcutter came and saved them. so the story is shortened. And if they're stuck on a word, or if they don't understand, they read on, or they read back. They read around the part they don't understand, and they get the general idea, or they get the gist of the story, and they talk about it. So if we talk about what we've read, or talk about stories, or our writing, again, oral language is very important. Talking about it helps them come up with new ideas and improve their old ideas, etc. So again, some of the skills that would really help them, and we don't expect to do these constantly the whole time, but you might help them along the line to think about what's coming up next, to predict, to see the picture in their head, to visualise, to come up with some questions and then think about the answers, to summarise or bullet point what happened in the story as succinctly as possible, or as in as quick a way as possible, and to not be bogged down if they're stuck, but to read on and skip it, or to read back, or so on, and then to talk about what they've read, to ask questions, to talk about it. All this is kind of part of talking about it, but there are some of the things that good readers do. So I will try and think now. You can stop now, there might be something pops into my head. Good readers. Let me see. Yes, okay. One thing that I didn't mention in the last meeting is another thing that might go home, and it's aiming towards the writing aspect of it, and I'll show you on this here. Okay. These are called the homework writing books, and it's just moving onwards. This is quite advanced. It will come later on in the year, and well, maybe even after Christmas. But it gives the children a chance to not just blend and read words, but to write words. So the idea is that, you can't really see here, but, well, maybe you can. A list of words will go home in a small book. The parents or another adult or whoever will take the list of words, and they will read the words to the child. For example, cat. And in the homework writing book, the child will write down the word. So this is a more difficult skill. It will be very simple words to begin with. Maybe 8 words sent home. Parent will say, or adult will say, cat, and may even make it easier and say, cat. Try write that word. Give the children who are struggling a little bit more help. Maybe give them how many sounds are in it. Dad, add, and they'll eventually try and come in. So if they come back in the next day, I'll check and see how many they got right. If they get more than half of them right, they're ready for another few words to go home, and just to practice writing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as they're using some of the skills that they've learned with the phonics, that's the main idea. So just to make that a little bit more clear, they'll have their little copybook here with their pages, okay, with their lines. You, the parent or whoever, will have a list of words. So you say hat. They can't see it. You say hat, hat, and then the child tries to write the word. At. They may get them wrong. So another example, pot, pot, and they may write p, t, p, t. They might have gotten 2 of the letters right, p and t, p and t. So I can see that they're using the skills, and it's not a complete guess. But this is another thing that may go home in the not too distant future. And I'll just show you some of the things. Well, no, there's no point really. So those dice will be going home, and please, if you can at the end of the year, or if you have a dice at home, you might make one of these and send these back in, because I've robbed them from the class. Not essential, but just an idea. And again, that's for the word game. So I will leave it there. I hope to make a few more videos between now and the end of the year, of just being read, or videos of stuff we're doing in class, and the Facebook page will continue. If you haven't already, well, you'll need it to get this video. It's Junior Infants Learning Together, capitals at the beginning of each word, and thank you for your time and listening.